a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Good evening, come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Oh, we can make a difference if we put in the time. Good evening, come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time.
Hello. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome to day 8 of the trial. Technically day 8, although we had trial goings on. So we'll say that. So day 8 was jury instructions, which I didn't go to, but welcome in, everybody. Welcome to chat. Welcome to everybody spending a little bit of time with us to take a look at what happened today and probably a little bit of a recap of what's happened to date in the trial, because the defense and the prosecution have rested both. So we're getting ready to head into closing arguments from both. And we're co-streaming with Trial TV Live. Welcome in to my co-host, the Squeegee of Justice.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Joe. How are you today?
I'm good. I needed a day off, and I got to give a little background on why I took the day off today, because when I was riding down the elevator with the head of security for the entire courthouse, the South Tower, he said the public will not be allowed in tomorrow. He said the judge told him the public would not be allowed in for the juror instructions today. So I'm like, well, if it comes from him, it must be true, right? Like,
sure.
Why?
Yep.
Why would he lie to me?
Right? Why would he lie to you? Why would anybody lie to you? Look at you. How could anybody lie to you?
Yes. How could anybody lie to this face right here? And you know what he did? He lied to me because they had public in there today for the juror instructions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy.
Well, are you going to give him what for on Monday? Step on his toes at least?
I'm going to give him what for tomorrow. Like there are some seating things that need to be figured out for Monday when a bunch of people come in, and the fact that they redo the seating at lunchtime is a big deal, because they're theoretically not even going to get started on instructing the jury until like 11 o'clock. And they're only going to go to 12 o'clock. So if you have somebody who comes to the courthouse at like 6:30 in the morning and they wait in line, and then they get up and they have 1 hour of jury instructions, and then everything resets at lunch, and you can lose your seat after you waited there at 6:30 in the morning, that's not right. So
they need
to rethink that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No.
what are you going to do Friday or tomorrow? You're going to go and try and find him and talk to him, or what's the
Yeah,
plan?
I am. Yeah. Yep. If he's there, I will talk to him. And if he's not there, I will find the person to talk to. We'll have a
Okay.
little chat. I'll be like, and I'm going to approach it very respectfully. I'm going to be like, I think you should reconsider the way you've handled this the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And they either
Okay.
will or they won't reconsider it. But then I'm going to go find me some good lunch in downtown Phoenix. Supposedly there's a good Mexican restaurant, and maybe we'll do like a little bit of a video of some good places to eat in downtown Phoenix.
Yeah, please do. I think that'll be cool. And are you going to take your heavy with you? You're going to take anybody, your strong arm, to talk to that head of security in case some muscle is needed?
Yes, yeah. I'm going to have my people talk to their people. We're gonna they'll sort it out amongst themselves.
Have your guy Vinny come over and say, all right.
Right. When it comes to conflict, so Vincent, actually the public information officer for the court, his name is actually Vince.
Okay.
Vinny, if
Not
you
that
will.
there's anything wrong. I'm not saying that anybody named Vinny is strong arm.
Right. Right.
I should
But
say
he
Tony.
does.
Maybe we'll go with Tony.
Okay, yeah. Vince does not like conflict and confrontation. He's like, y'all sort it out and then come back to me when you get it sorted out, type of thing, which is fine.
Right. Sure. Yep. Yeah, that's not, I guess that's, well, wait, he should be sorting out conflict. Is he the person who should be sorting it out instead of?
Well, he shouldn't. He's not in charge of the public access to the trial. He's in charge of the media access to the trial. So that's what the public information officer does. So he actually stepped up, and on like in the beginning couple of days of the trial, he went outside of his scope of responsibility and he helped us organize. And we had a system that was working fine, but then eventually he had to hand it off to the security guys. And
I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So I like what Capri said. Breakfast. Is that what it's truly called? Or is there an exclamation point in there?
I don't know.
You gotta find that.
Absolutely.
Right? That'll be fun.
I love me a good breakfast.
Yeah. Whatever you do, definitely take some videos if you either stream it live or definitely post later. I mean, that's cool stuff. We always like to see that. Behind the scenes is always something fun to see.
All right. So today we had those juror instructions, which I was not present for, and I kind of half-assed watched today while I was doing 43 other things and trying to catch up on all the things that I've neglected while I've been in court.
It happens.
For 10 hours a day. Yep. So you streamed it on Trial TV Live.
We did. We covered it. We streamed it. We watched it. And do you want me to pick up?
Absolutely. Let's. You took notes, right?
I did. I took notes, and straight away, defense wanted more time. So the judge said, "Sure, no problem." I think it was like maybe 15 minutes or something like that. Not a lot, but it was a little, a little bit more time. And then the judge, once they all did reconvene, the judge asked if it was still Lori's intention to rest or pull any more evidence, present any more evidence. And she said, right now it is, as of this morning. And then he asked if she anticipates that changing. So she says no. So as it stands at that moment, they were moving forward with jury instructions, and Lori was indeed resting. Now, keep in mind, she still has to put that on the record, so she still has to put that, say that in front of the jury. So they go ahead and they start working on jury instructions. And the one thing that kind of jumped out at me was, the first thing was Lori asked about self-defense. So self-defense is defined with third person, premises, and crime prevention. And I was like, crime prevention. I think even the judge said crime prevention. And she's like, yes, when Charles assaulted, Tylee, myself, and Alex. So judge looks that up. And the premises also says a person has to stay there if they've been asked to leave. And the judge says, I would really hate to risk a reversal on something like this, right? So state comes back, Trina comes back and says, well, Charles was renting the house, so it is technically his. And Lori's like, well, the evidence also states he flew into town and came over to the house. Okay, so Lori just calmed down there. State says it refers to criminal trespass, and you can't trespass on your own property. So yeah, it's interesting because like as we used to rent, right? This is the first time that Aaron and I have owned a house, right? And I did own some property once a long time ago, but this is the first time I've actually owned a house. We've always rented, right? So it begs, like, we always like, well, gosh, what if the landlord just wants to come over at any time? Please give us give us at least an hour warning or whatever. So it's interesting that the judge was saying, yeah, or actually Trina was saying, if he was renting the house, so it is technically his, but you still have to give notice when you're coming over, right? So
yes.
Anyway, they kind of, so they kind of hashed it out. Judge said, well, it really talks about home invasions, deadly force, unlawfully entering. There's no indication that Charles forcefully entered. So that was pretty much, he was not inclined to grant that. Lori was like, fine. So she was okay with that.
Right. He was invited in.
He was, yeah. He wasn't, according to Lori, the evidence will show, according to her, that she did invite him in.
Yes.
Then she talks about mistake of facts, and the judge is like, well, what was mistaken? And so she's like, 1 shot versus 2 shots, that she's been attacked, the things that the state has said. And the judge says, well, you can't argue that because that doesn't misstate the facts. You'd have to have to be under a false belief about the fact. So then Lori's like, that is all. And then she's like, that's what I was thinking too. So she's like, she's agreeing with the judge, but being Lori.
She said that out loud. That's what I was thinking. She said that out loud.
Yep. She said, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. She said, that's what I was thinking. Yep. So then they talk about, so everybody's, so judge says he's going to go back into his chambers and work on revising the instructions, right? So, excuse me. So it comes that it's going to be at 11 o'clock on Monday. That's when the instructions are going to start. They're going to have an early lunch. So whenever he finishes, and he thinks, when they usually take lunch at 12 or 12:30.
Yep. Right at 12.
Okay. So he thinks it's going to be less than an hour. I'm not sure how, maybe 45 minutes. I'm not sure how long it will take. So it's going to be jury instructions, then a lunch, and then closings. So I was looking at my notes. State had 46 minutes. So let's say 45 minutes for their opening, and Lori had 16. So 15 minutes. So you're looking at, between the two of them, it was an hour for opening, right? And generally closings are pretty much the same, like openings, closings. You can kind of get a judge of, usually I guess closings are a little bit longer. So I'm thinking Trina K is probably not going to go more than an hour. So say they get back at, say, 1:30. So she's going to be done by 2:30. And then Lori comes in. If she talks, even if she talks for an hour, that's 3:30. Do you think, okay, they leave at 4:30. That gives the jury an hour, basically an hour to deliberate. Do you think they'll go later, or how does it work in Arizona? Do you know? Like, will they go until 6, 7, 8?
I don't know how it goes in Arizona, but if I were in the jury, I would be like, we're going till you bring me some dinner. Like, you bring in some pizza, tacos, whatever it is. We're getting dinner tonight. Then we'll deliberate for like an hour after dinner, and then we'll go home. We'll come back in the morning, and we'll probably be done by noon the next day. Honestly, I think they're going to be done deliberating on Tuesday at some point.
I think so too. And thank you, Shore Life, for saying that. I missed that. So Miss K said she needs an hour, and then Lori says less than that. Yeah. So you're looking hour and a half 2 hours tops. Well, no, I think Lori's not going to talk more than a half hour. So say they come back at 1:30, 2:30. So 3 o'clock, it's going to go to the jury. 4 o'clock. We see this a lot. You've seen enough trials where they'll deliberate for like, the one day or whatever, and then they'll sit on it, they'll sleep on it, I should say, and then they'll come back the next day, and within, a half hour, they come back with the verdict. So I agree. I fully expect a verdict on Tuesday. I think we'll see it on Tuesday at some point. So,
yeah.
And then just real quick, it was, they talked about Brandon's case. We got some official word. March 30th is the official start, 10 a.m.
May 30th.
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. May 30th. Thank you for that. May 30th, they're going to have a final trial management conference to discuss the questionnaire. May 14th. So, and then the questionnaire goes out the 21st. The 29th, they're going to meet. This is all May. The 29th, they're going to meet over the responses that they get. They talked a little bit about the length. The state thinks it's going to be similar in the length. Now, she asked for 6 weeks, but it only ended up being 2. So,
right.
And I don't think Lori's going to have a defense. So even though they're blocking off 5 to 6 weeks, I think it's going to be similar, where it's going to be, it was 21 trial days and they did it in 7. So I don't,
right.
I don't think it's going to go that long, but
so
they're blocking it off anyway. Yeah.
So I know the judge has other obligations between now and then.
He does.
But we're talking about this case being wrapped up by, so we're on Thursday the 17th, Friday the 18th, 19, 20, 21, 22. By the 22nd of April, we could have a jury verdict.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Why can't we start Brandon's trial like the second week of May?
That's what Lori said. She literally said she wants her speedy trial by May 11th. And the judge says the state needs out-of-state witnesses. He had personal scheduling issues in May. That's why he's going to be out. It's going to be dark. He used those words, and we've heard that before. Court is going to be dark. Yeah. June 16th through the 20th. He said they're supposed to go, so the 2nd through the 6th, Monday through Friday. They are going to have court on Friday. And then the 9th through the 13th, he said he may cancel Friday the 13th. I'm not sure if that was because he was superstitious or why he said that.
Right.
But he did say that.
What is that? What is that word? I got to Google it now.
What? There's
a word for fear of Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah. Friday, yeah.
Periska vita. No, that's a word I can't pronounce that on here.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, he basically said that the state had the state had out-of-state witnesses. So I agree. I don't know why. I would go with Lori's speedy trial. Do it mid-May.
Yeah.
Do it at least on the 15th. I mean, so
I will give you $1 if you can correctly pronounce either of those words.
Oh wow. I can get the phobia right. Paraskavidiacatriaphobia. Oh, I like the other one. Frigaticaphobia. Fricassean. That's a fricassean phobia. There you go. Therapist, showing how brilliant she is. Paris. Go ahead. You go.
Paraskevi decatriophobia. I got it. Okay. Good job. Paraskevi decatriophobia.
What do you win?
I win going to court early in the morning on Monday morning. That's what I win.
That's right. Look at Pammy. Friggin' phobia. Friggin' about that phobia.
Weirdophobia.
Yeah, isn't that really supposed to be with like the Knights Templar and they were like massacred? I think, right? Is that the story that I heard? Or
that may be, but my son, so my son number 2, He has literally on Friday the 13th, twice in his life, fallen down and broken a bone. He broke a knee bone once, and he broke an arm bone once on Friday the 13th. So his fear of Friday the 13th is real.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Yeah. I seem to think, I don't know, maybe it was when the Da Vinci Code came out and Knights Templar was real big. I thought I remember seeing or reading that Friday the 13th obviously was fine up until I think they got massacred on Friday the 13th. And ever since then, it's been considered unlucky. I'm sure somebody in chat will look it up, but something along those lines. But do you remember the movie Saturday the 14th? Do you remember that movie? Yeah. I think that was like in the early 80s. I never saw it, but it was obviously it was a goof. It was one of those, airplane spoofs,
Right. Like Scary Movie.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was pretty much it. So the final outcome of that was Monday, 11 a.m. they start, early lunch, closings after that. And then that's it. Then they deliberate.
All right. So do you want to do like a trial recap? Let's go through the minute entries of the court, which are very, very broad. Like he will take an entire day of court proceedings and break it down into like 2 pages. Do you want to go through those?
Sure. Yeah. However you want to do it. I was going to say who stood out. We can also say who stood out to you. We could do that as well, but why don't you do the minutes and then we can say who stood out for you.
Yeah. There you go.
Is that cool?
There you go.
All right.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Nan. Wow. Husband was born on 13th, died on the 13th. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the minute entry for trial day 1. A record of the proceedings, 10:36 a.m. This is the time set for trial to jury. So this is March 31st. So this is jury selection.
Okay.
This is not actual trial. So the court trial days don't match our trial days. We're 1 day off because we didn't count jury selection in hours. So this is previous to that. So
do you ever count jury selection as trial days?
I don't, but maybe in the future, if there's one in Arizona, I might because of the fact that they did. So, it's good to have them be similar and coincide. But
all right.
This isn't part of the trial. It technically is. It's jury selection. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the judge did, and the judge has final ruling in the matter. So he says this is trial day 1. So this is trial day 1, jury selection.
Sure.
He lists prospective jurors. The court stands in are excused. So they excuse several jurors. The court stands in recess. Court reconvenes. The court reporter is present. Several other jurors are excused. Lots of jurors. Holy cow. So this is the part of the process that wasn't public right here that we're looking at. And I think this is where Lori had her strikes to use and where the state had their strikes to use. Like, I don't know how many strikes they got, but you get so many strikes for no reason. You don't have to have a good and valid reason. You could just be like, I don't want that juror. I don't want that juror. I don't want that juror.
Right.
So it leads one to wonder if the majority of the potential jurors that Lori struck were female as opposed to male, because she believes she has wiles over the male population. 12 o'clock, 12:07, the court stands in recess. At 1:35 p.m., the court reconvenes, and we were able to go into this part of it. I was in attendance for this. Discussion is held regarding trial matters. Discussion is held regarding the defendant's notice of objection to jury questionnaire. The court notes the objection, but administered the questionnaire to the jury anyway. So basically dismissing her objection. Discussion is held regarding the defendant's motion in limine to preclude expert testimony of Daniel Coons. Defendant presents arguments to court. The defendant stated objection. The court notes the state has complied with the timeliness. The court notes the defendant can make evidentiary objections on the record. It is ordered, here we go, it is ordered denying the defendant's motion to exclude for the reasons as further set forth on the record. Let the record reflect Matthew Kelly is present on behalf of Nate Eaton.
Mm-hmm.
Discussion is held regarding Nate Eaton's emergency motion for protective order filed on March 26th. Argument is presented. Matthew Kelly addresses the court on behalf of Nate Eaton. It is ordered striking Nate Eaton from the defendant's witness list. That was a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people felt like that was just like a retribution thing for her.
Sure.
Like,
did we not see Nate? We did see. Okay, so Nate. All right, so Nate Eaton 2 is okay. So they did. So day one, I was considering day one when they actually started opening statements, but the judge did talk about Nate Eaton 2 is in the courtroom. So so we didn't see that, but we did see when they started with the opening statements before that, the judge did address that.
Yes. Yeah. He struck Nate Eaton from the defendant's list. So Nate has been there every single day in the media row, which is the back row of seats. Yeah. He's been there every day.
Yeah.
Discussion is held regarding state's motion to preclude media from displaying or disclosing phone numbers. That's not an important motion. That's standard operating procedure. The court notes that Lonnie Dworkin is presumptively precluded absent extraordinary circumstances. Interesting, because that's her expert, and he was just approved on March 7th. So if she wanted to use him, she would have had to use a continuance. She would have had to file for a continuance, which she didn't want to do.
All right.
It is ordered that any witnesses that have not been served with a subpoena and made available to be interviewed by the state will likely be precluded. And I did a little live this morning that went through the 5 subpoenas that she did attempt to have issued. Only 2 of them were successful, and the other 3 were not. So, and those were like police officer type of subpoenas.
Right.
So, it is ordered denying the motion to dismiss for violation of confidential communication. Discussion is held. It is ordered denying the defendant's motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct. Discussion is held. This is kind of a big one to me. Let's go over that. Discussion is held regarding the state's Rule 609 motion regarding the defendant's other felony convictions. So I'm pretty sure that the judge said you're allowed to mention that she was convicted up to 2 felonies. You're not allowed to tell the jury what those convictions were for. I'm pretty sure the judge ruled that. And we haven't heard anything about her prior convictions. So are we going to hear those on closing?
Can they talk about something that was never talked about in closing? Like if it's...
Can they bring up new stuff? I don't think so. I think they have to just conclude with what was presented to date.
Yeah. And then argue what was presented. Yeah, that's what I thought too.
So apparently Trina K thinks that she doesn't need to bring those convictions in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. The limiting the number of convictions is appropriate for the reasons. So that's prejudicing the jury. That's prejudicial to the jury to mention more than 2 felonies. the admission of some felony convictions, but will defer the matter to the conclusion of the state's case in chief. Trial matters are discussed. Discussion is held regarding gallery seating. We need to have another discussion tomorrow, guys. We'll discuss it tomorrow. Gallery seating right here.
Right.
That's my bailiwick. The first row is next of kin. The last row is for media, and the middle row is reserved for the general public. Rule of exclusion, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's day one trial minute entry.
Okay.
Day two. So this is the actual opening arguments. 1032 were on the record. The jury is not present. The defendant let the record reflect the counsel and defendant approve the juror questionnaire that has been administered by the staff. The parties stipulate strikes from the pre-random list. Okay, so there were strikes from the pre-random list. Like you can strike so many people, you have so many strikes. That's right. Interesting. I wonder who she struck. I wonder who the state struck. We didn't get to hear that or see that.
Yeah.
Preliminary jury instructions are discussed. Scheduling is discussed. The court stands at recess at 11:15, 1:53 p.m. Court reconvenes with counsel and defendant, court reporter. The prospective jury panel is sworn and voir dire examination commences. There are 1, 2, 3. The 14 jurors are excused. The prospective jury panel is excused from the courtroom at 2:59, 3 o'clock. We're in recess. 3:15, they come back. So that's the 3 o'clock afternoon break. That's standard per Judge Boreski. The court reconvenes with the prospective jury panel and counsel and defendant and court reporter. Record of proceedings is also made digitally, voir dire. Then they excuse 1, 2, 3. They excuse everybody that's on the right side that's not in the jury box. And they also excuse the one lady in the jury box. So they seat the jury extremely rapidly, very fast.
Yeah. I was shocked. I thought it would take 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah, it was 3 hours.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think everybody was kind of.
Yeah, and then we lost 2 in the first 2 days, and we're like, was that a little too fast, Judge Boreski? Like, did you see them a little too fast?
Yeah, I'm sure he was like doing one of these, like tight collar there. Oh my God, I hope this doesn't continue over the course of 6 weeks where we're dropping jurors within the first week. If that had continued, we'd be at a mistrial, or they'd have to redo it.
Right. All right. So there was a sealed portion of the court proceedings between 1032 and 412 on April 1st. Record sealed up to this point. 4:30. The jury is seated. The jury is sworn in, and then the jury is dismissed with the admonition to, do the usual things or don't do the usual things. Don't check on media. Don't talk about the case with anybody.
Right.
You know what's funny about
go ahead.
Judge Boreski? So a lot of judges, when the jury comes in the next morning after we've had a night off and they're not sequestered, even if they are sequestered, a lot of judges will say, did you guys adhere to my admonishment to not research this case online and not talk about this case with anybody? He doesn't do that ever when they first come in. He doesn't do that. I find that a little bit unusual.
Yeah. He does things. Yeah. I've noticed there's some things that he does differently. That's one of them for sure. Any break, right? I mean, we've seen many cases, literally every break they say, as they're leaving, remember it as they're coming back? Did you adhere to it? He didn't do that, or if he did it off camera, but you were there and he didn't do it.
He does say as he's dismissing them, he does say most times, if not all times, I adhere to my admonishment, and he basically words it like that. He doesn't say what the admonishment is, but he says, make sure you adhere to my admonishment.
Right.
All right. The court directs the parties to appear at 10:15 on the following day, and the trial stands at recess until April 7th. So that's, according to their records, trial day 2, minute entry before we get to trial day 3, which is, where's the date? I know there's a date on here. April 7th. So they seat the jury, and then we have a long weekend, and we come back on Monday, April 7th, and we begin the actual trial. Typical stuff. Discussion is held with respect to Juror 3's letter from the employer. Oh my gosh. Yes, we're getting into juror things already. Like before the trial even starts, we're already dealing with a juror issue.
Right off the bat.
Yep. So they discuss it, they go to recess, they reconvene, and the jury, outside the presence of the jury, and then we talk about the presence of Brandon Bordeaux in the courtroom because he wants to watch, but he's on the witness list. He's a noticed witness, but he's not a subpoenaed witness. So Mr. Bordeaux, Brandon Bordeaux, goes back to chambers with the judge. They have a little chat. They come back, and the judge says he's stricken from the witness list of the defense, but it's without prejudice. So so Lori can add him later if she wants to, if she follows the proper procedures, which I'm not sure she knows how to do. All right. Finally, 11:15, we have opening statements. At noon, we go to lunch. Then we have the discussion with juror number 3. We have a discussion about his hardship, and both sides agree that juror number 3 should be dismissed. So they excuse him from jury duty. Then we go to recess. We get to lunch 5 minutes after the jury. Then we come back at 1:30, more or less. Opening statements. The state's case. Here we go. Sergeant Wiz, the Wiz, is sworn and testified. Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3, Exhibit 4. The witness is excused. So they don't note any of the detailed testimony or exhibits in here. So we've done that. We have done that in our nightly summaries and recaps. So if you want to see the details of those, you can go back and you can look at our day 1 recap, day 2 recap. This coincides, even though, so I'm going to scroll back up to the top. Even though this says day 3, this is actually day 1 in our recap. Right. Because we started when they actually started presenting their case.
Right. I guess I always think of it like opening statements as day 1 because you never see jury selection. So it would be odd if a jury, like look at Karen Reed, it's like they went through 7 days of jury selection. So literally when it starts, you'd be day 8. I think that's just very confusing, even though they are showing jury selection. So in that case, I guess you could say day 1 if they're showing jury selection, but if they're not, right? Wouldn't that be confusing?
Yeah, it would. To
somebody who's on your channel or trying to find, hey, I want to find day 3, but day 3 is actually I don't know. That's how I keep it straight. If they show jury selections, then I'll do day 1, day 2, day 3. But if they don't, I just start with as soon as they let us in the court. To me, that's day 1. But
right.
that's
and that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense to me and you and most of the world. But
yeah.
the court does what they want. They call it what they want.
Yeah, and I can understand that. That I can get with. The court, hey, you're here for jury selection. That's day one. I get that. I get that, and I don't think that should change. Listen to me, court, change your way.
I'll have Judge. Yeah, I'll give Judge Bresky your number, and he'll call you tomorrow and ask for some advice on how to number the days.
give me a call, Judge B.
All right. So the Wiz comes to testify. We see exhibits 2, 3, and 4. He testifies. He's excused. Officer Krautheim is sworn, and he testifies. He makes an in-court identification of the defendant. It's funny because some of the witnesses did, and some of the witnesses didn't identify Lori in court.
Oh, Trying to, who didn't? Did anyone? Well, day one, did anyone not? I don't remember.
Well, they didn't say that about the Wiz. I don't know that the Wiz did.
He didn't, yeah. Huh.
They don't note that in his line, and I don't remember that he did in court.
Yeah. So it would be in this. That would be considered a note in this document we're watching or we're looking at. They'll say,
yep.
Okay.
Yes. So we say,
witness makes an in-court identification of the defendant. Okay, I see now. Okay. Are you frozen? Uh-oh. Joe, are you? Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, you were a little frozen there.
Oh.
But you're back now.
Oh, no. Okay. So Krautheim resumes the witness stand and continues to testify. There's one question from the jury. The witness is excused. Scott Cowden is sworn and testifies. He is with the fire department, Chandler Fire Department. He is the one that performed CPR or attempted CPR on Charles's lifeless body at that point. The witness steps down and will resume at 4:31 p.m. Judge Boreski is very prompt. The jury is reminded of the previous admonition and excused from the courtroom, instructed to return at 10:30 a.m. the next morning. Day 4, 10:28, trial to jury continues. The jury is not present. There's a sidebar discussion held regarding a juror issue. Here we go. Juror number 4 is excused from further consideration of this matter due to a hardship that he didn't disclose in his questionnaire, but they're like, let's just let him go. Juror 16 is present in the courtroom, and a discussion is held. After discussion, Juror 16 is excused to the juror room, and he will remain on the panel. This is the discussion about him saying that he remembered seeing that body cam video of Lori being asked for her driver's license type of thing.
Right.
All right. So Scott Cowden continues his testimony. That's the Chandler Fire Department. Exhibit 280 is marked for identification. The court receives a question from the jury, and they didn't ask it. The witness is excused. Captain Keller, Captain Colonel Sanders, is sworn and testifies. The court receives questions from the jury, and the relevant questions are asked of the witness. So there were a couple of those were the 4 jury questions from juror number 15 after he was on his phone that were very medically specific, where people who are watching who are not aware of what's going on would say there's a doctor on the jury, or there's somebody that's in like a high level of emergency medicine that's on the jury.
Yeah. Yeah. This was the venous access to administer medication to aid the heart and functioning, i.e., was it ephedrine? No. What's the word? I have ephedrine.
Epinephrine.
Epinephrine. Epinephrine. Yeah. If no, why not? Yeah. ACLS protocol. Yeah. Was a physician patched in? There was that whole thing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just magically happened after he was on his phone.
Right.
So here we go on the next page. The jury is not present. Discussion is held regarding the state's observation of juror number 15 during Mr. Keller's testimony. Juror 15, we got some questions for you, buddy. Juror 15 is present in the courtroom and discussion is held. What we don't see is the judge asks him, what were you doing on your phone? He says, my daughter just woke up, so I was texting with her. Just coincidentally, before I ask these 4 very specific medical questions. What a troublemaker, dude. We gotta do an interview with juror 15. We have to. Like,
if you can get it, if you can get it, and if he's willing to come on for free, then go for it.
So
I have a feeling he's going to be. Sorry, I was going to say I have a feeling he's going to be one of those. I think we talked about it last night. He's going to be like $10,000. I'll come out and talk. He's looking to cash. He's looking to cash in, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe he'd be cool and say, "Yeah, sure, I'll come on." So
we'll see.
Yep.
I'll be there to ask. I will at least ask.
That's all you can do. Yep, that's all you can do.
Juror 15 is excused to the jury room. The next witness, Daniel Coons, is sworn. States Exhibit 5, 139, 6 through 138, 243, and 235, 248, and 249, 239. So Daniel Coons is the second firefighter to arrive on scene.
Coons was a detective. He was the detective.
Oh, okay. He was the first detective on scene. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. More exhibits 238 and 240, 244. Then at 3 o'clock, there's a break, a 15-minute break. A record of the proceedings is made digitally. The jury is not present. Discussion is held with respect to the court inadvertently admitting State's Exhibit 248 when 249 was offered. After discussion, Exhibit 248 is not admitted into evidence. That's interesting. I actually don't remember that. I don't remember the state not getting evidence admitted. Anyway.
Admitting. And that was during Coons?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's I don't remember that either. That's too minutia.
Right.
I don't know if I don't remember that.
Yeah. Right. All right. So they bring the jury in, Daniel Coons. So was Daniel Coons, so he was a detective. Was he the first responding officer on scene after the fire department?
Well, you had Wiz and Krotheim. They were the first ones, right?
Okay. He's the first detective on scene.
He was
Coons
the
is the
detective.
first detective.
Yeah,
okay.
I think he was just hanging out. Let me see here. Let's see. Number 5. Yeah, because so I think wasn't he just kind of hanging out, right? And like we talked about this during that recap. He was just hanging out. He wasn't doing anything, right? And the phone call came in or something like that. He responded to scene, about a 15, 20-minute drive.
Right. He heard the radio traffic. He's like, oh no, there's a shooting. I'm going to head out there to the shooting.
Right.
I'm going to help them solve this.
Right. Law enforcement vehicles were there already. Yeah. So, yeah, I think he was. But then it says there was a wrestling match between detectives to figure out who takes care of what. I still think he was like first. I think he was first. You had, well, maybe Moffat. Well, we didn't hear from Moffat. So I'm thinking
but
he was probably first.
Yep, Moffat eventually became the case agent on it, like the one in charge of the whole investigation, not on scene, but of the whole investigation. And we never heard from Moffat. He was on the witness list and he never got called.
Right. Yeah, I think she had him come up first because he was, he was the first detective, if you will. He
took charge of the scene. Coons took charge of the scene. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So at 4:00, the jury is dismissed and court reconvenes. Daniel Coons continues to testify. Wait. Okay, so we took a little break there around 4:00.
He went from day 2 to day 3.
Right.
He carried over.
But at the end of the day here, I'm trying to figure out how this break works, because at 3:56, the jury is reminded of previous admonition and excused from the courtroom. Why are they excused from the courtroom at 3:56 and then at 3:59 the court reconvenes? I can remember a couple of times when the jury was dismissed to handle like a minor issue. Maybe this was one of those.
Maybe. I just know that he went from, for us, day 2 to day 3. For them, day 3 to day 4.
Right.
I do know it was carried over.
Right. The witness steps down and will resume testimony on April 9th.
Oh,
there we go.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Jury. So judge says needs the jury to exit to resolve something. Short break. Wanted to postpone cross. Runs to door for comfort break.
Yeah. I probably have something in my notes about that, but
yeah.
We'll get that another time. All right. So Coons doesn't finish testifying in this one. So in the next one, according to the court, which is day 5, the trial to jury continues from April 8th. This is April 9th. State's case continues with Daniel Coons. Resumes the witness stand and continues to testify. The witness is excused. Did Lori cross him? Yeah, she did. She absolutely did.
This was cross. This started with, hold on a sec. She was crossing him. She started crossing him the day before. Yeah. And then the day ended. The judge says, good place to end. I don't want to cut you off. And she's like, nope, that's fine. So then she picks up on cross for day 5, day 6, whatever. And then redirect comes in.
Right.
And then there was no follow-up after that. And then we have Nancy Joe. So so Cross was the one that carried over from the 2 days.
Right. Okay. So they don't know when somebody is cross-examining, direct examining. They just say the witness is testifying.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting that they don't put that in. Yeah.
Yeah. Defendant orally moves to strike Mr. Coons' testimony. The court notes the defendant's objections and will not be striking Mr. Coons' testimony. No way.
Right.
No way. States the witness. Okay, witness is excused. Here we go. Nancy Joe Hancock is sworn and testifies. That's in the morning. And then at noon-ish, 12:02, the jury is excused. We go on lunch break. We don't go on lunch break yet. There is a discussion held outside the presence of the jury. Don't remember what that is. Then at 12:05, the court stands at recess for lunch break. 1:30 reconvenes. A record of proceedings is made digitally. The jury is present. Nancy Jo Hancock resumes the witness stand and continues to testify. So that's direct and cross and redirect in this one sentence right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nancy Jo Hancock resumes the witness stand. That's direct, cross, redirect.
I have another letter to write to the courts. They should say cross, redirect, or cross direct, recross, right? Because that's very confusing if you're reading these. You don't know how many times. All right, I have another letter to write.
Right. Let's keep writing those letters. Somebody's got to answer them at some point.
Yes.
Then there's a juror question, and they ask Nancy Jo that question. She answers it, and she's excused. And then there's a sidebar. Wait, the sidebar is, they don't say what time the sidebar is, but at 2:02, the jury is excused. And then at 2:24, so that's 22 minutes later, the court reconvenes with the defendant and respective counsel present. The jury is present. Christina Atwood is sworn and testifies.
Mm-hmm.
She makes an in-court identification of the defendant. She's excused, so she got direct examined, crossed, and redirect examined all in one.
Yep.
There's a sidebar at 3:13. The jury is excused. I should probably start using that, excused. I think that's it. I think that's the day that we left early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was just those two, Nancy and Christina.
Yeah.
Yeah, no cross, no jury questions. I did not note what day we left early. I don't remember that. You would have a better memory of that than I would.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I don't remember what day we left early. They all blur together.
I know, right?
All right. So day 6 is April 10th. Trial to jury continues from April 9th. The jury is not present. Scheduling is discussed. That's probably scheduling of the second trial. And then states exhibits 283, 284, 285 marked for identification. Alex Cox. What? Alex Cox is sworn and testifies. They have this in the court notes.
Huge mistake.
What?
Wow.
Holy crap. Oh my God.
All right. You have to tell somebody, right? Who can you tell? Who can you say?
No, I don't know.
Seriously, like 5, 10, 15 years from now, people will be going through this. They're going to be like, wait a minute, Alex, I thought what?
I thought he passed away like a couple of years ago from quote unquote natural causes.
Maybe he did. Yeah.
Yes. I know the first person I'm going to share this with, and she's going to get a kick out of it, and maybe she'll pass it along, but that's huge. Alex Cox is sworn and testifies. Oh my gosh.
Wow. They dropped the ball on that one for sure. So who is taking these notes? Who's taking these minutes? Do we know?
Let's go back up. So there's court reporter Catherine Turner. Is it the court reporter Catherine Turner? Can we blame you for this?
How could she be doing both though? Right? Because she's taking she's taking everything, right? She's doing the every specific syllable that comes out of anybody's mouth.
Right.
So is she doing this too?
Oh my gosh. Alex Cox is sworn and testifies.
This
is breaking news.
Yeah.
This is breaking news. Like, this should be like all over the internet everywhere. Alex Cox was sworn in and testified in Lori Vallow Daybell's trial. Oh.
And yes, it was Adam, you guys. Yeah, everybody's saying Adam. Yes, of course it was Adam. Yep, it was Adam.
Right.
This is crazy. Crazy. All right, you heard it here first. Joe broke this. Awesome.
Wow. In the official court minute entries, Alex Cox is sworn and testifies.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling.
Spirit tested. I think OnlyFans said Spirit testify. He came through a portal. Dwayne's like, I told you I grabbed my phone. What the? Alex is no longer alive. We know that. Does the court reporter or whoever is doing this, do they know that? Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. All right.
Oh.
And maybe Alex portaled over.
It's funny, but not funny. Like, that's a big mistake.
That's huge.
Like, it's not just like Adam got mistaked for any other name that starts with A. It got mistaken for Alex.
Yeah. Somebody said Alex and Adam are similarly. Who just said that? I forget who said that. Is Adam and Alex, is that something that you would easily? No,
not me.
I don't know. There. Okay, Lee. Yeah. Thank you for pulling that up. Alex and Adam. And he went by Al. So Al, Adam, Alex, Adam. Wow. All right. We're all scrambling to make a short of that.
Yes. Right.
That's crazy. Ouija board creepy. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. The court reporter is using the Ouija board to complete her notes.
Should it be reported? I guess. Well, you're going in tomorrow. Is that something? Yep. Is that something to talk about?
It'll get figured out. I'm sure there'll be a supplementary minute entry from the court correcting that.
All right.
Not a big deal.
So says you.
Right. Wow. It kind of is a big deal, though, because Alex Cox was not sworn in and he didn't testify because he's dead.
You're right.
The court record
Melissa's saying not the first time their names have been mixed up in this trial. Yeah, right. I think didn't Trina Kay, didn't she? I think she mixed them up.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but I will remember this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, this is amazing.
The court is reporting that a dead person is sworn and testifies in court. Woo!
Yeah,
that's a first for me. I've never seen that.
Right.
All right. State's Exhibit 210 is received. The witness is excused. Serena Sharp is sworn and testifies. Makes an in-court identification of the defendant. The witness steps down and will resume testimony after lunch break. Jury is reminded of the admonition and excused. Court reconvenes at 1:30. 1:32, the jury comes in. Serena resumes testimony. That includes direct, cross, and redirect. And then the witness is excused. And then William McDonald is sworn and testifies. We see State's Exhibits 180 through 185. There is a jury question at the end of Mr. McDonald's testimony. They asked that jury question. I don't remember what it was. The witness is excused. Then we have Marissa Francisco. She's sworn and testifies. That's direct and cross and redirect all in one sentence. Boom. She's direct, cross, redirect. Sworn and testifies and excused. So there were a couple of those witnesses in there, or at least one that Lori didn't decide to cross-examine. And I can't remember which one she didn't.
McDonald, she did not. William McDonald, no
Okay.
question, no cross. Only one question to. Yeah, there was quite a few that she didn't cross. She definitely did Nancy and Christina and Adam and
Right.
Serena. Yeah.
But she didn't cross Alex.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No crossing William McDonald.
All right. So 3 o'clock, 2:57 p.m. The jury is excused. At a quarter after, the court reconvenes. Kay Woodcock is sworn and testifies and makes an in-court identification of the witness or of the defendant. And she says, no, I didn't see with my eyes or hear with my ears, but I sure saw a lot of evidence. A quarter after 4, the jury is reminded of their previous admonition and excused. So we were let go at a quarter after 4 after Kay testified.
So he's not one of those judges where at a certain time he's like, that's it, we're going home, or cuts off in the middle of a testimony. It seems like he lets it go.
He's pretty close to that. Like once he gets to his break times, he's like, how much more do you have to go? And he will ask either Lori or Trina, and they will say, well, you know what? I've got a lot more to go, so let's go ahead and take a break now, which happens most of the time. I have yet to see when they say, no, you know, I only have like 5 minutes left. Let's keep going.
Right.
All right. Minute entry, day 7, 10 a.m. Trial to jury continues from April 10th. So this is April 14th. So we're going from last Thursday to this Monday behind us right now. 10 a.m. trial. So we know that Judge Kemp, where we're having the trial now, had a dark calendar on Monday and Tuesday. So we can go at 10 a.m. The jury is not present. There's a discussion about subpoenas and the state's motions. The court will address the state's pending motions at a later time. It is ordered the clerk of the court seal the subpoena and affidavit of service filed on Robert Bobby Vallow and the subpoena and affidavit of service filed on Brandon Boudreau, not to be opened without further order of the court. Interesting. We looked on my morning live this morning where that subpoena address was, like where Brandon Boudreau lives. Like that's public record where Brandon Boudreau lives. So I don't know what was sealed. Yeah. Like I have his address. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The clerk of the court sealed the email dated April 10th, not to be opened. Court stands at recess. We stood at recess because there was a juror that was late. At 12 after, the court reconvenes with the defendant and respective counsel present. Court reporter, record of the proceedings digitally. The 10:17. All right. The jury's late, but they're not like super late. 15 minutes late. The jury's present at 10:17. Dr. Derek Bumgarner, he is with the medical examiner's office. We see states exhibits 152 through 179. Several of which are very disturbing. The court receives a question from the jury and discussed between the parties, asked of the witness and answered. The witness is excused. Mark Sorry, he is with the Social Security Administration, Inspector General's Office for Fraud with the SSA. Exhibits 213 and 214 are received in evidence. He testifies, so that's direct, cross, redirect, all in one sentence right there.
All right.
The court receives one question from the jury, the same as discussed between the parties and asked of the witness. Then we have Robin Smith Scott. She is with Manor Life Insurance. Exhibit 215 is received. At noon, we take a break. The witness steps down. The court makes a further record with respect to a juror question. I remember there was a juror question, but the way they're wording this like chronologically is a little confusing to me. But anyway, it is ordered the clerk of the court seal the email filed by the clerk on April 14th not to be opened without further order. At noon, the court stands at recess. At 1:15, the court reconvenes with the defendant and respective counsel present. The jury is not present. Scheduling is discussed, so that's probably for the next trial. Discussion is held with respect to outstanding motions. The jury is present. Robin Smith Scott resumes the witness stand and continues to testify about the Banner Life change of beneficiary thing that went on with Charles and Kay and Lori and her phone calls to them. States Exhibit 280 is received and heard. We have direct and cross and redirect all in one.
See, I have no cross. I have no cross for this.
Yeah, I that makes sense. I think I remember that too, like off the top of my head. She had no questions for this witness. So Robin Smith Scott is excused, and then Jeff Moberg is sworn and testifies. That's oh my gosh!
What?
Look at that. That is direct and cross and redirect all in one little tiny sentence.
Sworn and testifies. Yeah, I see. Yep, direct, cross, and redirect. Yep. And then a jury question. Do they have a jury question? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yep. The court receives a question from the jury, the same as discussed between the parties and asked of the witness. Do you have that? What that question was?
I do. Let's see. Where would the casing go if the gun was held sideways? Remember that?
Right.
And then he's talking about this or that. Yeah.
Right.
Either way, it could
both ways, this way or that way.
Yeah. But a lot of people, and I think even yourself, maybe were saying, if you hold it like this, it's going to kick back. It's not. You're not going to be able. I think you were saying it. You just can't. You can't do that. It's cool in movies, but in real life, you just can't do that.
It's going to be harder on your physiology.
Yeah.
On your body. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So Moberg was excused, and then we hear from Cassandra Inklin. She is sworn and testifies. She makes an in-court identification of the defendant. Then we see exhibits 186, 187, 188. At 3:00, we take a break. The jury is reminded of their previous admonition and excused. The witness steps down, and then we hear from juror 15 and juror 16. Again, these guys, juror 15. Call me. I got my number out there.
Right.
And this had to do with the fact that juror 16 said to juror 15 when he saw how much money, in benefits that Lori was supposed to receive, he's like, man, that's a lot of money. And then juror 15 replied back to him something about his personal experience with his Social Security claim and the difficulties he had. So basically the judge just asked them, does this taint your ability to be a fair and impartial juror in this case? And they both said no. So you're still on the jury. All right. we're good. So we go to recess at 3:09 p.m. We come back at 3:24. Cassandra Inkland resumes the witness stand, continues to testify. More states exhibits 189, 286, 190, 191, 192, 193, 194, 195, 197, 284, or 286, 245.
These were all those Lori's interview with Cassandra. This is right. They would play like a sentence and then the sentence. Yeah, that's what all these were. Right.
And Lori continuously objected on the grounds that what isn't a complete interview showing.
Yep. But, same objection.
But it literally, yeah, right. Yeah. But it literally was like 5 to 10 seconds at a time. And I'm like, is that really effective?
We talked about that a lot in the chat. And I would have preferred her to do like maybe a 5-minute clip and then go back and talk about it. Because she literally said, this is what we're going to hear. Then she'd play the clip. This is what we heard, correct? Like she would tease it, she'd play it, then she'd say, this is what we heard, right? Yep. So why do that? That just wasted so much time, in my opinion. And I thought to me, I was like losing my focus. I was just like, because it just started, like Lori would just start to say something and then she'd stop it, and then she'd go through this whole process all over again.
Right.
So I wasn't that one. I would not give I didn't like that, but who am I?
Right. And who am I to know, to think that she's leading the witness with something that hasn't had a foundation established yet because we haven't heard it. Anyway.
Yeah. So Ken says it was dumb, sarcasm, hated it. Yeah. I mean, chat did not like that. Yeah. It was, especially because she would say what we were going to hear. Then she'd play it. Then she'd say, this is what we heard. Right. So.
Yeah.
And I kind of get what she was trying to do because she was showing that Lori was, like making up things and lying. I get that. But I guess I would have preferred to hear like at least a minute or two, a couple sentences, not just one sentence or like half of a sentence. It felt like she was really, really like dialing it down to just like, and then we went here. And then the next clip was like, and then we went there. And then the next clip was like, and then Charles did this. Next clip was like, and then I took his phone. Next clip was like, instead of having kind of tell a story, but
Right.
Anyway.
Another
letter for me to write.
Right. And that's why she gets paid the big bucks to be the prosecutor.
Yeah. And here we are.
Right.
Critiquing her. Yeah.
So 4:33, that's the end of the day for this day. The jury is reminded of the previous admonition and excused from the courtroom. The witness steps down and will resume testimony at a later time. Could that be tomorrow? Could the later time be tomorrow morning? Could it maybe be? Let's find out. Oh, there we are.
Dun dun. Tax day.
Dun, dun, dun. April 15th, day 8. And by the way, folks, if you haven't checked into our co-streams, we have done daily recaps after court every single day. So we're kind of doing a trial recap right now with hitting the high points of these. But if you want to hear in-depth, detailed, deep dives into everyday court goings on, including some behind the scenes stuff that you can't see on the feed, then go check out our daily recaps. It's good stuff. It is good stuff.
Yeah, Joe was there. He definitely gets some good insider information. So yeah, definitely go check those out.
All right. So Tuesday, we go at 10:02 a.m. Exhibits 287, 288, 289. Discussion is held with respect to the subpoena of Larry Woodcock. So that's Kay's husband and not the biological dad of Kresha, but she calls him dad because he basically is and has been. So he was subpoenaed and he wasn't supposed to be. And Lori says it was a mistake. It was an oversight. And I apologize to the families. And it's kind of like, okay. Yeah. So the clerk of the court sealed that subpoena. And then they have a discussion about the motion in limine, questioning police, like what questions. So Lori did subpoena some police officers, and what are the questions that she is going to be allowed to ask them, as in, why didn't you arrest me? Why didn't you arrest Alex at the time of the crime? And that's basically not an admissible question. So the judge wants to know, what else do you have to question these police officers on? Like, besides the fact they didn't arrest you and they didn't arrest Alex at the time, like, and then we get into some type of a video that was observed by Janice Cox, that's her mother, and Summer Shiflett, that's her sister. They supposedly have some type of video of an altercation or incident between Charles and Tylee. So
I'm dying to see that. That she's teased that in openings. She talked about it here. I am dying to see that. If it exists. If it exists. If the evidence exists. Evidence will show. I would really like to see that. Because that would, I think, change my mind on a lot of things. If Charles was indeed caught on video hitting Tylee or shaking her or yelling violently at her, being abusive to her, I want to see that. Because right now, I don't think he did. He may have had short words with her. I mean, we all do, but the way Lori says, it was physical. So I want to see that. Let's see that.
Yep. Let's see it. So regarding the questioning of police, it's ordered granting that she can't ask them those questions. Regarding the testimony of the video observed, absent a witness laying a foundation for the video to admit all or portions of that video into evidence, a witness cannot testify simply to what they observed on the contents of a video. So it's hearsay, basically. They're saying, we saw a video of something that happened. Where did that video come from? You need to lay the foundation to be able to bring it into court. She didn't do that. She didn't even try.
Yeah.
All right. With respect to the state's... Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, she probably said she didn't have time, right? That was kind of her excuse, that she just didn't have time to do it, to do all of this, even though she wanted a speedy trial.
Yeah. She's in lockdown 23 hours a day. She's limited in what she can do.
Yeah.
With respect to the state's third motion to preclude defendants' witnesses, the court finds that in the event the witnesses are not served with subpoenas now, nor do they appear at court to testify, this issue is moot. However, even if defense witnesses are served and or appear to testify, they may still be precluded because the relevant testimony has not been disclosed to the state, and it is unknown whether witnesses will have any relevant testimony to offer at trial. So she just did a horrible job of laying any foundation for any of the witnesses that we looked at the beginning of this to be able to come in to enter any type of testimony that's relevant to her case at all. There's just none. There's none.
Yep.
All right. So Cassandra Anklin at 10:19 resumes her testimony. And it's funny because she's actually one of the witnesses on Lori's witness list. she got, or on her subpoena list, she got a subpoena from Lori. And I'm like, that goes back to, why do you need to subpoena somebody who is also on the state's witness list? That's because she may have testimony that may not be entered in on direct that you want to enter in, and you can't on cross because it wasn't brought up during direct. So,
right.
All right. The court receives questions from the jury, and they're discussed, and the relevant questions are asked. Do you have that up, what those jury questions were?
Let me see. Which one are we on?
We're on Inkland.
Inkland still. Second day, though, for her, right?
Yes.
All right. Let me see. Chain of custody. So this was jury questions for Inkland. Sidebar. Lori wanted to question witness about her demeanor. Lori advised this is a door she wants to open. Oh, as a detective, this was a good one. This one was not asked. As a detective, does your subconscious mind use a witness demeanor as any type of evidence?
Right.
So that one was not asked. This one was not asked as well. Did Tylee ask for a lawyer? So the ones that were asked was the rented car ever searched? And Detective Cassandra said not certain. If Lori and Tylee were interviewed, why they left? Why were they left? Wait, if Lori and Tylee were interviewed, why were they left with a victim advocate? Then she kind of explains a victim advocate can help families with death investigations. Did Lori express concerns about Tylee talking to law enforcement? No. And then, did you need to tell them about audio or video recording? No, there's no expectation of privacy in a police station. Yeah, that was my favorite line. There's no expectation of privacy in a police station.
Right.
So yeah, there was a lot of questions. There was 5 that were asked. Oh no, I'm sorry, 4 that were asked, and then
and 2 that weren't. 2 that weren't.
Yeah. Oh, then I missed one. Then there was one that I missed. There was a question, I guess, that I missed. So, yeah.
All right. So at 11, a quarter after 11, the jury is reminded of the previous admonition and excused. The court makes a further record regarding previous discussions during sidebar held at 10:42 to 11. At 11:17, court stands at recess. 11:25. So the jury gets a little bit of a break. The rest of the court doesn't. The court reconvenes with the defendant and respective counsel present, court reporter, jury present. All right. Detective Ariel Werther. Here we are.
Yep.
States exhibits 217, 218, 219, 216, 222, 220, 221, 209. So why do we have so many states exhibits?
This was that presentation. Yeah, what the heck was coming in? He was just all about the cell phone data.
Right. And he put together they called it a PowerPoint. It looked to me more like a Google Earth Pro presentation, but whatever you want to call it, he put together like a summary of the locations of the phones. So he had specific GPS locations for Charles' phones, and then he had general locations of bounces, pings off of cell towers for Lori's and Alex's phones. Right.
I don't remember what all the evidence was.
I don't know.
Why? It wasn't Charles's belongings because he went to the hotel. They didn't bring that in. There was no maybe Charles's phone, but that's a lot of exhibits. What's that? 2, 4, 6 or so right there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember all. Was it?
Yeah, now I'm already in.
Yeah, it was just all about her tracking or him. It was about them tracking the cell phones. Charles.
Right.
He kind of went through the timeline of Charles when he got there, and then his cell phone, no more data, and then she takes the cell phone. Oh, was it? He went to the CVS's and the Walgreens. Was there any evidence then?
Right.
I mean, you're right. I can't recall why there was so much evidence that was put in. He got the surveillance video of the drive-through, the Burger King drive-through. Maybe that is that it?
Yeah. I'm looking. So 11/17, 11/25. Okay, I'm looking at my notes.
And the Walgreens, that we saw the Burger King and the Walgreens video. We saw that.
He took a 40-hour class, and then he took another 40-hour class, and he became a subject matter expert. And then on the day of the crime, on July 11th, 2019, at the scene, he shadowed Detective Coons, and he was just basically an extra set of eyes and ears and hands. But then he began actually investigating the timeline. And so the 911 call was at 8:36. Burger King, they went to Burger King and Walgreens in the school. He knew she was driving a red Kia Sorento. And on July 12th, he went to Burger King to get the video of her driving through the drive-thru on the day before. He verified the time date stamp against his phone dates and time. That's when he said, when she asked him, what time did you see Lori on that drive-thru? And he said 7:20 something. And she goes, do you mean 7:54? Oh yeah, it was 7:54, not 7:20.
Right. I remember that.
So we have the Burger King video, but that's not like 6 exhibits.
I don't know. I don't get it either. Oh, well, whatever. I don't remember it.
Yeah, me either. All right. We can move on though. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. At noon, 12:05, the jury is reminded of the admonition, and we all get to go to lunch. We come back at 1:26 p.m. At 1:29, the jury comes back in, and we resume testimony with Detective Ariel Werther. He continues to testify, so that's the end of his direct and cross and redirect, and the witness is excused. Then at 2:30, we take another break. And that's, I think, that was the day we left early, right? Like really early. That was day 8. So we went like an hour early on day 8, right?
Why do I have 5:58 done? Oh, our time 5:58. So yeah, it would be 3. Yep, you're right. That was almost 4 o'clock. Wait, that'd be 3.
2:58.
2:50. Yeah. Okay, so that was that was the day. Yep.
All right. So April 16th. So this is yesterday. This is the last day before the state and the defense rests. April 16th. According to the court, day 9 of the trial at 10:30 a.m. The jury is not present. 10:31, the jury is brought in. Detective Nathan Duncan is sworn in. The judge admonishes him not to throw up in his lap. We see State's Exhibit 234, 289, 226, 231, 212, 224, 225, 232, 223, 227. So these are all text messages found on Lori's iCloud accounts. So there's Lolly Time, and then there's Lori for Style. She has 2 different iCloud accounts, and these are mostly text messages with Alex and Summer and Chad and a couple of other people, Melanie in there. We just go all through those disgusting text messages yesterday, and then we they're so disgusting. The witness steps down and will resume. after the break. So that's noon. The jury is reminded of the admonition and excused. Court reconvenes at 1:30, 1:29 p.m. Before the jury comes in, the court provides the parties with proposed draft final jury instructions. So that's for this jury when they go to deliberate. What are these final jury instructions going to look like, which is what was discussed today, right?
Yes. Yep.
So 1:31 p.m., the jury comes in. The court has technical issues with the display device. That's
I
funny. They
remember
put
that.
it that way. Yep.
I remember. Yep.
That poor gal, she had to have been like so embarrassed. Like, I don't know how to turn it on.
Yeah.
And then the tech guy comes in and he like pushes 3 buttons and he gets it on in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Poor thing. So they send the jury out while they're fixing the technical thing. They get it fixed. The jury comes back at 1:40 p.m. Jury is present. Nathan Duncan resumes. Exhibits 287, 228, 229, 288, 230, 233. More text messages, more disgusting text messages. Most of these are between Chad and Lori. And some of them make you want to vomit. 3:10 p.m. we have an afternoon break. 3:25 p.m. we come back. Before the jury comes back, the court admonishes the defendant regarding cross-examination of the witness. In other words, she can't ask something that counts as testimony on her behalf. 3:27 p.m. the jury comes back. Nathan Duncan resumes his testimony, and then so we do direct. This sentence right here is the finishing of direct and cross and redirect, which there was a lot of really good cross right there on Lori's behalf. And if you missed that yesterday, you should go back and watch that. We talked about it in detail. She got some good points in there. Then there's a juror. Yep. Then there's a juror question, and the witnesses asked that jury question. Do you have that juror question handy by any chance?
I do. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Jury question. Judge, Judge says we may need the exhibit. So it was regarding the pictures of Alex's phone sent to Lori. What was the time? And he says, I don't know for certain. So then they pull it up behind him. So the time was 2:13. And then the next question was the countertop, is that from 4 Peaks? No, it is not. So what Alex did is he had his phone and he had the Charles's phone open to the text message between, I think it was the flights between him and Adam. So what Alex did is he took a picture with his phone of Charles's phone on Alex's countertop, right? So there were two timestamps. One was Charles's phone, obviously, because it's open, and then there's the timestamp of his phone.
Right.
So it was just proof that they had Charles's phone and they had it open to conversations between Adam and Charles. So
right.
Again,
and we're taking pictures of it and sending it back and forth. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. At 4:00 p.m. yesterday, April 16th, the state rests. The jury.
What time did they rest? What's it say? Oh,
4 p.m.
Okay. 4 p.m. Gotcha. Yep.
I looked down at my phone and it was 4:00 exactly when she rested. Wow. The jury is dismissed and excused. Court remains in session. The defendant moves for judgment of acquittal and argues it on both sides, and the court denies the defendant's motion. I think it's interesting that she was able to do that outside the presence of the jury, because imagine the impact on the jury if she had rested in front of the jury and said, I have no evidence to present to the jury. Like, if you're a juror, what are you thinking at that point in time?
Right? Wait a minute. They're always supposed to do, aren't they? Doesn't that always take, or does it? I'm trying to remember when, because they do that every trial. The defense always does that, and we always like, oh, stop. Right? Now I'm confused.
They were excused before she did that.
Yeah. Capri Law, she rested, but she hasn't done it in front of the jury yet. So
right.
Ken or Chad, does that usually happen? Is it in front of the jury or not? Because they do it every trial. Defense always does that. They always ask for acquittal. So she hasn't well, she's rested. Excuse me, she's rested, but she hasn't done it in front of the jury yet.
Right. The judge gave her take backsies. You can take it back up to a certain point.
All right. So OnlyFans says it's outside the presence of the jury, but Sarcasm says it's in front of the jury. Okay, wait. So Ken, do they usually, chat from both streams, when they do the directed verdict or dismissal, I guess it's dismissal, is that usually done in front of the jury or not? And Joe, do you know? Or are you as confused as I am right now?
I think at some point in time, she is going to have to do it in front of the jury, but I think she just did it semi-informally outside the presence of the jury in this case, and the judge gave her take backsies.
Yeah. So she's going to have to ask for the dismissal and that she rests, or just that I know she has to say she rests. She has to say that in front of the jury. But what about dismissal? Is that usually done in front
I don't know that she has to do that in front of the jury, because that's just a motion with the court.
So that's my question. Because we see it every trial. That's my question. I know she has to rest in front of the jury. That I get 100%, no question. Ultimately, my question is, when they ask for the dismissal, is that usually done in front of the jury or not? I guess probably not, because then the jury would be like, wait a minute, you just made us sit through this for so many days, weeks, years, and now you're asking for it to be dismissed?
Right.
So maybe that's done outside. So she already asked for the directive.
Maybe it could be either way.
Yeah. She definitely has to rest in front of the jury. 100%. That I agree with. She has to do that.
And they have to know whether or not she's going to testify on her behalf.
Yeah.
Because the jury instructions will reflect that decision, whether to do it or not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so she moved for dismissal. That's denied. Scheduling is discussed. She requested, so originally the judge is like, we're going to do closing statements tomorrow. And Lori's like, hold on. I don't even get back into jail till like 5 or 6 p.m. And you want me to offer closing statements tomorrow after we do jury instructions? She's like, can we do it Monday? He's like, all right, that makes sense. Let's do it Monday. So today was jury instructions, and Monday will be closing arguments starting at 11. So there's going to be like something that's not closing arguments, like 11 to 12. Then we'll do a lunch break. Oh, jury instructions will be 11 to 12, lunch break. Yeah. And then we'll come back after lunch for closing arguments. Yes.
And then as we talked at the top, we're thinking that it may, because state said they only need an hour, and then Lori probably will only need, she opened with 15 minutes, so she may only need 15 minutes to close. So you're at an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half tops. So 1:30, 2:33, it's going to go to the jury, I think, by 3 o'clock. And then, as we talked about at the top, how long will they go? How long will the jury deliberate for?
How long does it take to find Lori guilty?
Yeah, we'll definitely have polls going, that the day of, to see.
Right.
But, so what's your gut feeling right now for do you think what guilty, not guilty hung? And then how long do you think it'll take them? What's I'll put you on the spot.
I honestly, I think she got in enough points that there may be one juror that has reasonable doubt in their mind. I really do.
Okay.
Because the Nephi thing, like she attacked the Nephi thing pretty well. She's like, does that mean when I said Nephi in my text, does that mean killing? And he said, no, not necessarily. So conspiracy is a hard thing to prove if there's no direct evidence of it, if there's no wiretap, if there's no, you know, you go take out this person, you go take out that person. And there isn't in this case. There is no direct evidence. It's all coded messages between her and Alex, her and Melanie. You know, there's no direct evidence. There isn't.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I would also then bring in law enforcement. Like, why there was a lot of questions that were left on the table that were not answered. Like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? You know, she snuck in the whole thing. Well, Tylee's during Tylee's interview, you know, did you talk about? I forget how she brought it in, but basically Tylee's interview that Charles was attacking her or grabbed his bat.
She said, if you had found Charles' DNA on the bat, wouldn't that prove that Tylee's statement was correct in her that Charles took the bat from her when she testified in her interview? And of course, that was objected to and quote unquote stricken from the record, but the jury did hear that.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, Rachel became a YouTube member. Awesome. Rachel's one of our fantastic mods, part of our mod squad. Same with Drunky the Bear. Yay. So what were Fala? Vague and ambiguous. MEG. Hellcat. 3 of our mods have become a member. To see, if you want to be a mod for us, you have to become a member. Is that the way it's shaking out? Capri Law. That's not a good look. If you, we do not force our mods to become members. They just love us so much. I'll spin it that way. Here we go. Question. There you go. I'll let you tackle that one.
Since the attempted murder of Brandon happened after the deaths of JJ and Tylee, are they going to be able to bring in that into Brandon's trial? The state would have to lay a pretty good foundation to be able to bring that in. Like a really good foundation. Like, and they keep setting traps for Lori to fall into. Like, if you open that door, then we could go down that road and she will like get right up to that door. And then she'll be like, nope, I'm not going to do it.
Right. There was one point. Sorry. There was one point where Detective Duncan yesterday, where she was asking him on cross, I forget the exact line, but she was like, did you ask my mom? Did you ask my dad? Did you ask Tylee, did you ask me? And he's like, nope. And he's like, I couldn't. And she's like, oh, that's right. Like that would have, that to me, that was a moment where he knew something, she knew something, and he like shut it down. Was like, I couldn't.
Yep. She stopped. Right.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, and then she like pivoted, you know? Okay. So who were your highlights? Name some highlights for you. What were some of your highlights, witness wise? Like whether it was cross or direct, like what were some moments that you were like, oh, you know?
So the 3 off the top of my mind, obviously, are Nancy Joe, Don't Flatter Yourself.
Yeah.
Kay. No, but I did see a lot of evidence.
All right.
And then on Lori's side, her cross of Detective Duncan was actually pretty solid. And I think she got him a little bit flustered at one point in time. I really do. Like, she asked him how confident he was, and he said very, but around that particular statement, there was a little bit of like hedging. I thought on Lori's side, that was my favorite cross of a witness.
I agree. Oh, so do you think she found her groove there at the end? Because he was the last. That was it. There were no other witnesses after that. Do you think she kind of hit her groove with
Right.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that may have been a good
Mhm.
time for her to like duck out and say, you know what, I don't need to testify on my own behalf now. Like that was her mic drop moment.
Yeah, she did seem that she did gain some speed. You know, or let me put it this way, confidence. I felt like she gained confidence. Although she was talking, I have notes that during Duncan's cross, she was talking very quickly. She seemed nervous, but she also, I don't know, she felt more to me she felt more confident.
I think she was excited that she had some points to get in there. I think that's why she was talking fast, because she's like, "Oh, I've got these points. I've got these points, and I'm going to make these points, and I'm going to say them real fast," which is a pratfall if you're not a professional public speaker. But you know, I thought she got in some good points. I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I'll go back to, I think the questioning for me, if I was a juror right now, or when I start to deliberate, I'd be like, so what do you guys think about law enforcement and how they didn't investigate this? They just took Alex's word and that's it. They didn't ask, and where's Tylee? Not that they can really answer that, but it's like, why didn't they test for stippling, or I'm sorry. Why didn't they test for gun residue on anybody else? Or they didn't do any. Wait, they did on Alex, right? They did DNA on Alex. They didn't even do gun residue on Alex. All they did was DNA on him. But we don't know that, right? I don't think they know that.
Yeah. The only thing we heard about DNA was that the fingerprint expert took DNA swabs off of the bat and sent them to the lab. And then we learned from Detective Duncan that they were never actually tested for DNA.
Right.
Like we have this one really smart expert witness, maybe a little too smart to teach us all a class on fingerprinting, you know, in the middle of a trial, but she's really smart and she sends this in for DNA testing and they don't test it. Like what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah. And the luminol, that whole thing, Baca reminded me about the whole luminol thing. Like they didn't do testing. And then he's like, well, we do that if we think a crime scene's been cleaned up. What? No, you do that no matter what. You know, you're trying to find evidence, right?
How can you walk in? Okay. So he claimed that they thought that the gunshot and the fatality had happened 5 minutes before they got there, but they found out very quickly that wasn't the case. They could have. So the very next day he was going to Burger King to look for that video of when Lori went through the Burger King. And the very next day he said, we had questions. So the very next day you get a search warrant for the Four Peaks house and you go luminol test it because maybe it got cleaned up. Maybe it did, because there was no significant blood in that house anywhere.
No.
Anywhere.
And if they did clean up, they would have had to use a solution, bleach, right? Isn't that's the one thing?
There are other solutions. There are a bunch of other solutions that are less aromatic than bleach, shall I say?
That was going to be my next question. Nobody said it smelled like bleach. There was no smell of any kind of cleaning or chemical smell. Not a single detective, law enforcement, fire. Nobody said it smelled of chemicals. So was there? So did Alex clean the scene up? And if so, like what? I mean, just so many questions. So many questions.
Yeah, we don't know, and we will probably never know exactly what happened in that house on July 11th, 2019.
It's Lori's the only one who knows right now.
Yeah. Yep.
She's the only one. There's some really good questions happening. I don't know if you want to. Capri's got a good one.
I got Deanna up here now. Does anyone think Lori will be more aggressive in the next trial? I don't think so. No, she's got her story in her mind, and that's what she's going to try and put out there. And then she's going to try and like take little chinks at the armor of the state's witnesses like she did in this one.
Right.
There you go, therapist,
Thank you. Oh, and therapist, said she subbed yesterday. So when we were talking about all of our mods subbing, therapist subbed yesterday. So, or she's been a sub, I should say membership. Yeah.
Does anyone know when Alex's accident was that contributed to his TBI? I don't know the details of that. I don't.
I want to think he was like 18 or 19. It was a car accident, right? I think it was a car accident.
Right.
And I want to think he was like 18 or 19. I think that's just what's coming to me right now. I'm channeling that.
Just don't portal it. You can channel it, just don't portal it.
Right.
Vicky, today I listened to a video of Charles's landlord. So that was that. Gosh, what was that guy's name? Hold on, I've got it in my notes. Pongratz, Pongratz. That was their landlord. He was so nice, and he had a lot to say about all of the neighbors being afraid of Alex staying there before the shooting. That's interesting, because I also wonder why nobody reported the sound of gunshots. There were 2 gunshots fired at that house. Yeah. How did none of the neighbors report the sound of gunshots at that house? That boggles my mind. And in Tylee's interview that we did not hear, she said when she was outside, she heard, and she could have been making this up, but she said she heard what she thought was the bat hitting the floor. So she said she heard the noise, but again, she could have been making that up. We don't know. So yeah, a 45 is pretty loud. Like if you're in the same room as a 45 when it's shot and you don't have any type of hearing protection on, it will make your ears ring for several minutes afterwards. Like it's loud. 45 and those houses. Yeah. Those houses are fairly close together. I mean, it's suburbs. It's kind of a typical suburban, houses are pretty much, I mean, there's some lawn in the front and back, but side to side, there's like maybe 10 feet distances. 12, and stuff. Probably 12. 12 is the usual minimum. Yeah. So enough. And it was like, it was 7:45, 7:50. People are still at home, they're getting their kids ready to go to school. Yeah. Yes. So it's not like it was an off time. Yeah. And on the interior, on the interior of those houses is also stucco. It's not drywall. So that stucco will bounce those sound waves off. Like those sound waves will bounce off of the walls. Plus she had mirrors up. Yeah. It was, no furniture in the room, nothing to absorb the sound. So here's another question for law enforcement. Did they interview any of the neighbors to see if they heard any sounds? And if so, at what time? Interesting. Was there any ring camera of them leaving and or Charles arriving? Did they ask any of the neighbors for ring camera or any kind of video from the neighbors? Right? We have heard nothing. We have heard nothing like that. Yeah. So many questions for law enforcement on this one. One juror asked if Social Security payments for Lori and JJ ended after the fraud investigation. The answer was yes, but no one asked why they stopped, or maybe they did and the question was respected. I don't think they asked why, but yeah, they did ask if they were stopped, and they were. At least to Lori. I don't know if they were stopped at JJ too, because JJ wasn't the one that was perpetrating fraud, right? Correct. Yeah. All right. Do we have any more questions we need to look at in here? Dwayne says Alex could have used a silencer or a potato. I think Northwest said something that the gun had grooves on it for like a silencer or something. Did you hear anything about that? I did not. No, yes. I did not. That was asked, I think, yesterday when Werther was going through I think it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I didn't hear anything about that maybe it was a silencer. I don't know. You would think that a forensic gun investigator would notice that and would report that in his report, and unless they were trying to cover it up and keep it out of the court.
Right.
Sarcasm, not to change the subject, but I like the plan. What trial are you guys following next? That is to be determined.
I can tell you we have a trial that is just a few weeks old that we're going to drop on you guys tomorrow, and then we'll be doing verdict watch, of course, with Lori next week. But I'm gonna tease it as we found a trial that's just a week or two old, so we're gonna pull that up, and we'll continue that into next week after Lori finishes.
She will rest Monday. Yes, she will rest Monday. So she only temporarily rested. I'm still not 100% certain that she can't change her mind about testifying for herself. I think she may be able to do that up to about like mid-morning Monday morning. She might be able to change her mind. So I'm not 100% sold on that yet, but I don't think she will. I don't think it's advisable, but it may be her last hurrah. It may be her last hurrah to put what she wants to say out there on the record.
We don't know who the witness list is yet for the Brandon Boudreaux. Right, that hasn't been released yet. Yeah, I'd be interested to see. He's going to testify because Trina Kay kind of teased that today. I think it was today she teased it.
Oh, really? Do tell.
Yeah. Hold on. Go ahead and check that out while I search for it.
All right. It's just me. Why did they not show the body cam footage of Charles asking police for help? Because he is deceased. That body cam footage is hearsay because he cannot come into court and testify on his own behalf that is what he said on that body cam footage. So it's the same reason that they can't enter Tylee's interview at the Family Advocacy Center, because she is deceased, so she can't actually physically come into court. So we can't see that, and that's the same reason why Lori couldn't get Alex's testimony on the record, because he's deceased. So everything that involves him being on body cam is hearsay. That's why they had the audio muted when they did show some of those body cams. Right. Because if they played the audio, then that would be hearsay, and that's inadmissible. Right.
And then, as Baca said, and they can't be questioned. You can't cross somebody who's not alive. All right. So it was today when they talked about Brandon's case. They were talking about the final questionnaire. So the final trial management conference to discuss the questionnaire. And then Trina says, if that doesn't work for the victim, I will let you know. So to me, the questionnaire that somehow Brandon is, I mean, why wouldn't Brandon, to me, would have to testify because he was shot at, right? So.
Well, he's probably going to be the state's best witness.
He will be the star. Of course, he'll be the star witness. So he's going to be there on the 14th because Judge said the final trial management conference to discuss the questionnaire is May 14th. Trina says, if that doesn't work for the victim, I will let you know. So he's going to be there. So he's going to be there to discuss the questionnaire. So he's going to be there to make sure the questionnaire is approved, is okay. So I guess I inferred, I inferred that as he's going to be there for this trial management conference, and then he's going to be testifying am I being making
that sounds right
there? Yeah,
that sounds right.
Joe, look at you. Who's that Joe Schmoe gifting 5 Joe Schmoe memberships? Who did you get?
I have powers now.
Who did you get? Lorianne, True Crime. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I like that.
I recognize a couple of them, Moonchild 55 and Pokemon. I recognize those 2 names. Lisa Tedford, I don't recognize. Crafts. Oh, Crafts True Crime. I think you're with us right now. Yes, there you are. And you said, hey, thank you. Cool. And Lorianne, awesome. Wow, you got 2. Fantastic. And Moonchild, she's usually there. Pokemon, she's usually there.
Yep.
Awesome.
Welcome on board, everybody. Welcome to members.
It's a great channel, you guys. You will not be disappointed. Well, you're already here, I guess, so you already know what you're getting.
So they already know they're disappointed.
No. They already know the disappointment.
I love self-deprecation humor. Like, that's my thing.
That's your thing. I know. That's funny. That usually gets a lot of laughs, right, in the comedy circle.
Right. Yes. Yep.
And I didn't know this. I kind of heard it throughout in this trial, but then it did come out that Alex was a comedian, a stand-up comedian. Did you know that before?
Yes. Yep.
You knew that. Okay.
And
I did not.
And I saw some of his bits and I was not impressed. I was not amused.
Don't quit your day job kind of thing.
Yes.
Stick to driving a truck. Stick to. Well, he was really good at one thing that he should not have been really good at, unfortunately. We watched the Melanie Boudreau coming over from Arizona to Utah to get her kids. We watched that body cam where she got arrested and Alex drove, right? He's there. And it's like, he is just, he's like the Grim Reaper. He just, where he goes, death follows, you know?
Yeah. And it's just so crazy that he's also not around. And I honestly believe that his death is not suspicious of all the things. And Annie doesn't agree with me. She tends to disagree with me about that. She thinks that there are suspicious things like the malachite blessing that he received. And malachite is something that can do things with like your blood pressure and maybe cause like an embolism type thing. So I want to do a deeper dive into that. But
so people are saying he was horrible as a stand-up. They just humored him. Are there any clips of that? Have you actually? Well, you said you saw them.
Oh yeah,
there are clips. Yeah. Oh, I got to play those. All right. Is there any that you can pull up real quick, or no? Or is that for another day?
Oh gosh, that may be for another day. I didn't save them.
All right. No worries. We can do it. We can do it another time. Aaron says, and he's alive. Alex apparently is alive.
Oh. Let's see. Is this one? Is this him? Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. All right.
You have one? All right. Hang tight, chat. Hang tight.
Oh, my gosh.
I've never seen this before. And MG, I agree. Yeah. MG, I think Alex's time was up and he knew it and he took his own life. Yeah.
Where's my StreamYard? I gotta find. There it is. Okay. I usually leave my StreamYard tab all by itself and I buried it this time.
Okay. Oh, Brandon is alive. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Aaron. Yes. Brandon is alive and he'll testify. Yes. Yeah, of course. He'll be the star witness. Of course he will be. He firsthand knowledge. All right, here we go, guys. Oh my. Stand Up Sangria presents Alex Cox, part 1. Oh, this is going to be good.
Sangria, how you guys doing? Nice. You guys look good. Maybe wish I was straight. Okay. My name is Alex Cox. When I was in the 8th grade, I actually learned that my real name was also my porn star name. Driving up tonight, I drove out from Queen Creek, and it took me 11 hours. And apparently all the snowbirds don't live out of state, because I was behind this lady, and I'm just thinking, I would really love to drive this lady into a ditch. It would have felt better. And I'm thinking, should there be a law that if your maximum driving speed is lower than Nancy Pelosi's IQ, you shouldn't be driving anymore, should you?
Yeah, that didn't get any laughs.
No, none.
But we don't have that for a law. What do we have? Photo fucking radar. Give it up if you hate photo radar. I was late for an appointment last month, and when Holland asked him, I was 60. Yesterday in the mail, they sent me one of those photo albums. That shit adds up. Online. Who got what coming?
I had a picture taken 2 days ago.
Did you? Were you topless like I was? Yeah. I had the battery, the lighter, and the clamps. Delightful. Worth every penny. You want to try it? Yeah, you'll want to put one down there. Remember, counterclockwise. Counterclockwise. Oh, you're lefty. Clockwise. Clockwise. Oh, fuck. We had to stop for gas on the way up here. Stop at I-17 on Camelback. And is the economy that bad? Some people come and try and sell you shit while you're getting gas. I'm like, no thanks. I'm not looking for a uncovered $20 blowjob, but appreciate it, officer. Need that.
Yeah, this is terrible.
I was fortunate enough to do a little jail time last year. I'll confess to you guys. You ever had something that you knew was the right thing to do, but it turns out that later on it was a felony? This is a true story.
Oh, what happened? Joe, we can't hear you.
I'm muted. Sorry.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. So how inappropriate is this based on what we know? I mean, I laughed out loud because it's like ironic more than funny.
Right. And he looks like he's in prison, right? It looks like he's like in prison garb. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, so the people in the comedy club are there for a good time, so they're like going to laugh more often than people like us who are like observing this like intellectually, comedically.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, do you know what? Yeah. What year was this? Do you have an idea?
I don't.
Well, before 2019, before December of 2019.
14 years ago. So 2011-ish.
Yeah.
Turns out that later on it was a felony.
One more time.
It was the right thing to do, but it turns out that later on it was a felony. This is a true story. I found out that my ex-brother-in-law was a pedophile, so I took a stun gun and I discharged it right in his nutsack.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
That actually happened, and he's making a joke out of it, and he did 90 days in jail for it. And he's making a joke out of it. And it was Joe Ryan, and nobody else has confirmed the reports that Joe Ryan did what he just said Joe Ryan did.
Right. And his ex-wife said that he was the one with a 15-year-old.
Yes.
So who's calling the kettle? What's that? The kettle calling the whatever pot black or whatever? Pot calling the kettle. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Or right. Or projection. That's just projection. Yep.
This is a true story. I found out that my ex-brother-in-law was a pedophile, so I took a stun gun and I discharged it right in his nutsack. And in Texas, that's a felony. I'm thinking, maybe I'll get a handshake or a parade or something. I got probation. So they arrested me here and they held me out here in jail. And I learned something when I was here at Maricopa County Jail. I learned that I was the only white guy in there that did not consider crystal meth one of the 4 major food groups. Remember the last guy here from Superior? Meth capital of the fucking planet. I think they invented it there. Anyway, Superior, not him. She's just not that mean. I'm a felon. Anyway, so while I was in jail, I also had a religious experience. I found Jesus.
Wow. He's like, when I was in jail, I had a religious experience and I found Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, Is he learning from Lori? Did Jesus come and visit his cell like he did hers?
Right. Or did she, this was before, so this, she got it from him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. He taught her. All right, we got like 50 seconds left, and then we'll bail on this loser.
Yeah.
Jesus Ayala, Jesus Jimenez, and Jesus Garcia. They were all in my cell, and they all shared a bunk. I found out Christmas is wrong. Jesus was not born in Bethlehem.
We've had enough. That's fine. We can be done with him.
Okay. All right.
We can. I saw enough.
Yep. Me too.
Yeah. So.
Not funny.
Yeah.
And just so it's kind of like her though, where he's just spinning his story of what happened, like to his benefit. Like when he said, I found out my brother-in-law was a pedophile, so I zapped his nutsack. That's like his spin on what he said happened. And then he said he got probation. He didn't get probation. He got 90 days in jail. He did 90 days.
That's what he told law enforcement the day of, too, shooting Charles. That he said that exact same thing. Oh, yeah, it was probation. Or, yeah. Yeah, he didn't say anything that he spent time.
Right.
So, yeah. Now
all
we're
right.
all speechless. Yeah.
So how do we recover from that?
It's a good question. Any more questions for us? Okay, so tomorrow you're going to the courthouse. You're going to talk to everybody, and you're going to whip them into shape. You're going to sort things out so that Monday is going to be a smooth ride.
I hope so. That's the plan. That's the plan.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. And then Monday is 11 a.m. your time, 2 o'clock our time. 30-minute delay though, right? I'm sure there'll be a 30-minute delay.
Yep.
Now, other trials we've watched, once they go into verdict watch, they take off the, and actually, I think they take off the 30-minute delay for verdict watch. I don't know if they do it for closing arguments, if that's still a 30-minute delay. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But we're hoping for a verdict by Tuesday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
I can't see it going past Tuesday. I can't.
Yeah. So you're thinking 4 hours or so? You're thinking about 4 hours?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like they come in at 11 o'clock tomorrow. They hear juror instructions. They go get their lunch. What's funny is I think they get like a per diem for their lunch. And so they will go down to the cafe like the rest of us who are trial watching, and they will like stand in line to get their lunch. Like they make really good toasted subs. They do pizzas. They do salads at the cafe at the courthouse. And the jurors will go down there and do that. But don't you think they need to have like lunch brought to them while they're in deliberations? Like they need to be semi-sequestered? Wouldn't you think they would need to do that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, they're not getting out. No, they'll stay there, I'm sure. I would think. I can't imagine they'd be let out. Because we always talk about they want to get their lunch, or if it's we always talk about that in chat, that they always want their lunch. Even if they come to a verdict, they're always like, no, we're going to push that out until we get one more lunch.
Right. So we'll do lunch right after juror instructions, and then we will come back for closing arguments. So say 2 hours max for closing arguments. That'll be 3:30. So they're going to go back and deliberate for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't think judge is going to send them home, right, at that point.
Right. No, not at 3:30.
Yeah, pick a 4-person, do a straw poll.
Yep.
And then,
if everybody agrees right off the bat, guilty, then We could have a verdict tomorrow afternoon, potentially.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And then I wonder if, like, if 4:30 rolls around and the judge comes in and says, "Okay, go home," and they're like, "No, wait, we're just filling out the form. We'll be done in like 10 minutes or half an hour or whatever." I wonder if,
or if they say, "Okay, we filled out the forms and we just have one person that doesn't agree with us." Juror 15 is like the wrinkle in the works. He's like the monkey wrench in the works. They're like, we just got to convince him.
Or if everybody thinks she's not guilty and juror 15 is the one that says she is guilty.
That's not. That's not. You know what though? I thought that about Richard Allen though too. I was like, the majority of the jurors have to be not guilty, and it was the other way around. The majority of the jurors were guilty, and they separated the two people that were not guilty, and they had the people who were guilters, like, convince them to change their plea. We saw that in the interview with Murder Sheets. Like, that the juror interview that they got in there was like, there were two people who were not guilty, and they separated them and worked on them separately.
Ugh, yeah, that's disgusting.
It is.
That's why they always ask you in voir dire, is like, if you have a belief, will you be able to stand by your belief, or will you be swayed? And if so, how much will it take for you to be swayed?
Right.
Promise of a brownie, here's a cookie, and if you change your mind, or how much are you willing to go to the mat for your beliefs?
Some green chili chicken enchiladas.
There you go. Well, I'm looking forward to your video of your exploits going for Mexican food tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And then you were also you have a video. Do you want to play that teaser again of that interview?
Hold on.
That'd be a good time to do that.
It would be. Hold on, let me pull it up. That's Janelle Murphy. She was on the outer fringes of the inner circle of their Preparing the People. She was married to one of the gentlemen who was a presenter for the Preparing the People, and they actually tried to separate her from separate her from him at one point in time. But she also got an insight. She was friends with Melanie Gibb. She and Melanie went to pick up Chad from the airport to bring him into the East Valley, into the Chandler area for that Preparing the People event. So she has some insight, and she also had some healing to do, because she wasn't involved in the actual evil stuff that went on with the Preparing the People, but she also feels some guilt that she was associated with it in some way. She had some of her own healing to do, and her coming to the trial helped her to find some closure and to find some of that healing. So it's a 30-minute video that I'm gonna premiere tomorrow, that I did an interview with her on, but it was a powerful 30 minutes, I feel like.
Great.
So this is a preview of that. So I understand that you have come to the Phoenix area to go watch a couple of days of the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell.
Yes, I have been through the start with her and Chad, and a lot of the others through this process, because I knew them, except for not a lot about Lori. So maybe I'm here because this is a little bit of a closure for me.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
So I knew a lot of them. I associated with everybody who was involved in this case, but the main one I didn't was with Lori. And so I feel like I'm here to kind of wrap up that, have my own closure, and just be here for anybody. So I think this is, I have said in a different interview that I felt like there was like a higher purpose for this, and I got roasted. But I tell you what, now that we're kind of tying things up with the rest of this and kind of on the tail end now, I do see that higher purpose. And that higher purpose is it's brought a lot of people together. And it's brought a lot of people around the victims and the families of them. And it gives us an opportunity to support them and love them and offer any love or encouragement and give them strength in what they need. So I do see now the higher purpose of what.
So I understand that you have come.
So
Awesome.
That's Janelle, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's hard to say and to find a higher purpose in this evil that we have seen Lori perpetrate and the trail of bodies and death and destruction that she's left behind her. But I have met people and I have made friends and I have been able to offer my support and my love towards the victims and the families in this, and that can be a higher purpose. Like there can be something that comes out of this that's not all just evil and bad.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to, or else you'll go down a dark path. You know, you have to somehow find the light in the life. You know, the sunshine. It's there. You got to find it. You know.
Yeah. Yep. So look for that premiere tomorrow. All 30 minutes of the interview will come out tomorrow. Cool. And I'm going to step down right now. I'll let you say goodbye to your channel and then come back up. Say goodbye to everybody.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you, chat. Thank you, our mods. Thank you to Aaron. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to all to Joe's mods. You guys really make this worthwhile. You guys are intelligent, knowledgeable, funny, humorous. You make getting up in the morning, worthwhile. You know, sometimes you get up and you're like, but I wake up in the morning and I want to get to my my station and come and talk to you guys and present stuff like this. And I think it's really important to shed light on things that sometimes a lot of people don't want to look at. But we do this for the victims. We don't do it for the defendants. You know, the victims need a voice. You know, so we don't shy away from that. We like to do that. So. Be sure that you like we know that you're liking it already, but comments help us. We're trying to get Joe up to 2,000 subscribers. So please help him do that. If you guys have not subscribed to Joe already, please do that. And I think with that, I'll ask Joe to come back and we'll walk you out.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, mods. I appreciate you being in here to help me out. Thank you to new subscribers and old subscribers, new friends and old friends. Thank you all for joining us and hanging out with us for a couple of hours. And look at this, we're at 2.5 hours again. How do we do that?
I know. I know. All
right.
It's easy to talk to you and with you. So
likewise,
I appreciate you, Joe. All right. Have a good night, man.
All right.
Okay.
Everybody take care. Have a good night.
Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime.